you have your brand new professional on-site vacuum from SurfPrep. It's the 8-gallon model. We're going to talk about the unit itself, go over a few of the features, and I want to walk you through getting it set up and operational. First of all, take your existing SurfPrep 5-inch, 6-inch, 3-inch, 3x4. We already covered this in an earlier video, but you're going to take this adapter, this male thread, you're going to reverse screw into the back. Do you want to come zoom in on this? Mm-hmm. You want to reverse screw this into the back of the tool. Then the cuff that you've already assembled onto the end of your hose, this female rubber cuff has little ridges in it. Those little steps in there, or those lines, are designed to grab onto these ridges of this male part here. You're just gonna slide this over and you're gonna walk it on. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Expect it to be snug and tight. The reason why it is snug and tight is it won't fall off. So now you're all set up. If necessary, a lot of you may know or may not know, we have a whip hose that we can connect to our static conductive hose here and go directly to the back end of the tool. That's a real noodle-like type of hose, and it gives you a lot more maneuverability of the tool. Okay, so next we're going to pull off this cap that came with the electric cord. The electric cord, by the way, is 13 feet long. The static conductive hose from the sander to the unit itself is 16 feet long. So you have a lot of room there. Right now, I've got the unit in the off position. I'm just going to plug this in to an outlet, and it's in an off position. Next, I'm going to plug the sander into the vacuum. Now, we're ready to rock and roll. The only difference, what I want to do real quick, is cover with you the features of the vacuum. And I'm going to go through this line item by line item, because oftentimes a lot of folks don't get the chance or take the time to read the operator's manual. And it's critical that you do so, because there are certain things that you really need to pay attention to fall within the warranty conditions that we have laid out. So the very first thing is we have our vacuum head. The vacuum head is this black unit here that is attached to the red bucket, okay? On the sides of the vacuum head are these two clasping locks. These locks drop down underneath the clasp below and they pop into position, all right? That's the vacuum head. That's the entire motor assembly. That's the auto on off. That's your indicator lights. That's the powerhouse to the vacuum. Also notice this here is a T-lock. This T-lock we designed, incorporated it into the head so that the back feet of your Tanos sustainer box sits underneath the lip of the rear of this seated position where the feet seat in there. It drops down, and when it drops down, you lift this up, and that locks the entire Tanos box to the head. Okay, this here is the handle. So you've seen me grab onto this. On the back of the vacuum is the identification plate. So there's your identification plate with your serial number. It's important that that always remains on your vacuum. Should you have an issue for warranty. We already talked about the power cord. It's 13 feet long. The cooling air inlet, the cooling air outlet, the operating air outlet, all of those are these vents on the sides of the unit and back on the rear of the unit. So that's allowing airflow to travel through the head, in and around the motor. We spoke about the auto on off feature here. I'm going to plug the sander back in. You can plug the sander in with this on or off. It's recommended and suggested in the operator's manual that everything be off. Plug it in and then turn it on. So I'm going to turn it to manual right now, and you're going to hear the vacuum kick on. And then we'll go into, there's a speed control So we're at the lowest speed on manual. We kick the speed up. And you notice the increase in the draw. So the motor indicator light will turn on. You'll see that the dial lights up as indicated here, and that lets you know that it's either on. Right now it's in the auto position. In the auto position, we also have a speed control that adjusts, and as you run the tool, I'm going to turn the tool on. Right now you have the red indicator on our sander. I'm going to turn the tool on, and when I hit the throttle lever, it's going to engage the vacuum. The sander, so you hear the speed control. I'm going to turn it up, and you hear that, and then it automatically shuts off. That's the auto on-off feature. You heard, I'll get to that kind of a puffing noise in a second, but you heard a puffing noise. Actually, you know what, I'll talk about it now. That puffing noise, the way we designed the SurfPrep POV vacuum is to have an auto clean feature on it. You do not need to pull your vacuum hose off the back of the tool. You don't need to cover the end of the hose on the back of the tool, and you don't need to pull on a lever or press or depress a lever to change the flow of air to clean the HEPA filters. We built that all into the unit so that you can sand and do the work that you need to do without having to stop to clean out those HEPA filters periodically. We do that for you every 30 seconds. So when you hear that puffing noise, that's what's happening. There is a set of directional valves, airflow valves. Air changes the course of direction. It's redirected in a reverse action, and it completely knocks all of the tiny particulate dust that might travel through the collection bag to the HEPA filter, knocks it out and keeps it free, okay? That's what that puffing noise is. So we already spoke about the vacuum hose, that's 16 feet. We spoke about the electric tool socket. This is the electric tool socket where you plug one of the tools in. Now, something we'll be coming out with down the road here pretty shortly is a setup for 2 vacuum hoses. So instead of this one adapter here, the adapter that's going into the body of the vacuum will have 2 exit or 2 holes, if you will, where you attach vacuum holes and you can run 2 sanders with a splitter on an electric cord. So we'll talk about that later down the road. Vacuum hose. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the filter frame and the water level indicator. I'm going to turn my tool off. I'm going to unplug this, and I want you to see. Here is what's really cool about the POV is that you do not have to remove these high quality Class M HEPA filters. When you're picking up water, you do not need to remove these. Here is our water level sensor, and it's positioned just low enough below the depth or the height, I guess you could say, of the filters. When water hits this, the unit automatically kicks off. Now, these are not paper. These are polyester. That's why you don't need to remove them. Make sure your vacuum is on level ground and that you're not on a slope, because you don't want water sloshing around in there if you use it in the wet mode. I'm going to turn the head off just for safety measure. I'm going to turn this over, and you're going to see 2 locks. These locks spin, and it releases the HEPA filter assembly. This pops right off. When this pops off, all you do is push from the rear to get access to removing your HEPA filters. Our HEPA filters are rated for 2,000 hours of vacuuming. I don't know how the calculations are done, but in a laboratory environment, 2,000 hours based on the average number of hours per day or week that someone's sanding is also equivalent to about 18 months. So as long as you take care of these and you do not run your vacuum without the collection bag, always have this collection bag, always with the HEPA filters in place. Never ever use the unit with one of the two missing. Never run only one HEPA filter. Always have both of them in place. Real easy. Once you get them in there, you turn it over, drop it down, turn these locks, and you're done. Everything's in place, okay? So you're set to go. You wanna make sure that these HEPA filters, when you do check them periodically, that they're clean and free of a lot of large debris. Okay, dust bin. Now we're getting to, this is the part of the unit which we refer to as the dust bin. This is not an injection, like a cheap injection molded plastic. This is a very durable, like a nylon based type of polymer that withstands a tremendous amount of abuse. So here's our dust bin. This is a fleece line. This is a fleece collection bag. This is a Class M collection bag. This is not a cheap paper bag. It's the same rating, and a Class M is 99.97 is the percentage of collecting small particulate dust. It's high quality. What you do is fold the wings back on the rear, and we want to take this collar, and we want, a lot of these sometimes are cardboard or paper and they tear up, they kind of fall apart. This is like a nylon material. By the way, you'll notice that when you pull this off, you have a cap to encapsulate all your dust, and you don't have to worry about airborne dust billowing out of this in your face. But we want to take this with these two thumb tabs, we want to press it right over the neck and securely up against the red bucket. That is not coming off. All right. You might be wondering, hey, what is that metal tab right there? This metal tab is connected and it travels down to where our static conductive, that's what this imprint is. The electric bolt has a no or a line through it, and that means no electric shock. This entire assembly is all static conductive. We press it in. This tab here touches this post. This post right here is wired directly to the motor, and it grounds it. So you're not gonna feel that static conductive shock. Now what we're gonna do is, when I set this power head back on the bucket, I wanna make sure that my water level indicator doesn't fling out to the side and get pinched between the bucket. So I'm gonna drop it down in there at an angle. I'm gonna find the home spot, and she's all set to go. I'm gonna take and clasp the sides of the bucket. We come in right at about 24 pounds on the unit itself. So 24 pounds, and remember, it's 30 liters or it's 8 gallons, and you have a tremendous amount of volume space in there to collect dust. Let's see, vacuum hose port, okay, universal swivel nozzle. That's these nozzles, they swivel to make it easy while maneuvering the tool. We talked about the dust collection bag. Caster wheels. We have 2 caster wheels in the front, and they have a locking feature to them. So you can lock these down in place, and it keeps it sturdy and in place. And then of course we have the rear axle with the rear wheels in the back of the unit. I just hit parts of the tool, items 1 through 25, so that saves you from having to read that part of the operator's manual. However, what you do want to do is you do want to pay attention to detail in this area here. Simple, common sense stuff. Never run the vacuum with a compromised electric cord. Never run a sander with a cord that's been damaged, that wiring is exposed onto, and that kind of thing. One thing when you're sanding, I'm going to put this back in the auto mode. Our indicator light's on. Our SurfPrep 3x4 engages. I change it from red to green, and there is a delay. It's about 7 to 8 seconds. So I'm going to run the tool. It's on high speed on the vacuum, and the tool itself is on high speed, but I'm going to run it and I'm going to turn it off so that you can then hear the delay on the vacuum. So there you have it. That's our delay, and that'll work with 2 sanders. I'm going to run down my list here real quick to make sure I covered everything. One thing I do want to mention, when you have those polyester filters in place and you've done some wet vacuuming and you've drawn up some water, do not sand right away. Those polyester HEPA filters need to come out, lay them in the sun, make sure they're 100% dry. Because if you start sanding, and if for some reason some dampness got on those filters, you can kind of guess what happens there. It could get real muddy with microfine dust. Let's see, used for water pickup, filters, we talked about that. Static conductive, self-cleaning. That self-cleaning is every 30 seconds. One last thing, I believe, and I've hit it all, is we come right in at 70 decibels. So the noise rating on this, I had this at the Maker Show in Atlanta. I had this unit in both Las Vegas and Atlanta for a big industrial show. People were hearing the standing action of the sanders, and they're like, where's the vacuum? That's how quiet this thing is. So we feel that we have built the most innovative, this is a rock star to the SurfPrep lineup of products that we already have. And we feel that in terms of size, ease of carrying this around, being able to unload it and load it into a van or a car, very small profile. The wheels, when they're unlocked, it allows you to move and rotate as you move. So we feel that we have come together with just an absolute winner. We hope to hear from you once you've integrated this into your shop. We hope to hear from you how you like it and how well it picks up dust for you. And that, I believe, is it. Thank you for your purchase.